skydiving. This is amazing.
Yeah, but you know what else is amazing? An iPhone 6S for just $49 at Metro.
Really?
Imagine streaming all the way down with that amazing camera. I'm switching.
That's smart.
You know what else is smart? Parachutes.
Switch to Metro and get an amazing iPhone 6S for only $49. Metro by T-Mobile. Phone offer requires port-in of number not currently active on T-Mobile network or active on Metro in past 90 days. See store for details and terms and conditions.
Welcome to Life Transformation Radio. This show is all about life transformations and our journey from where we were to why we are doing what we are doing today. We will discuss the hiccups, the roller coasters, and the blood, sweat, and tears that has been poured out while discovering our purpose. It is all about our transformations. Here is your host, Sean Douglas.
Hey, welcome to another episode of Life Transformation Radio. I am your host, Master Resilience Implementer, TEDx speaker, performance enhancement expert, and author, Sean Douglas. This show is currently heard in over 48 countries, such as the U.S., India, Canada, France, Australia, Belgium, Panama. So I want to thank you to those who are currently listening from around the world. Life Transformation Radio is all about our transformation. Here, we tell the stories of why we're doing what we're doing. We highlight that transformational moment that changed our lives and how we are using these to help transform others and elevate their lives as well. Now, you can listen to us every Wednesday and on the first and third Fridays at 5:30 p.m. Eastern Time. However, check us out on Tuesdays and Thursdays because we'll do book launches, product launches, events. So we call those special pop-up episodes. So be on the lookout for those. You can join our Facebook community. Go to the groups, Life Transformation Radio Community. Join us there where we talk about the show. We interact with the guests. It's an amazing, amazing place. You can also subscribe wherever you're comfortable. Subscribe on iTunes, the Google Play Music app. You can subscribe on Stitcher, Spreaker, and tune in and Player FM. My guests on the show are impactful and amazing at what they do. And my guest today is exactly that. Please help me welcome to the show Richard Trevino, I guess the second. That's awesome.
That's right. Yes, sir.
What's
Sean,
up, my
thanks
friend?
for having me on. I appreciate it, my brother. Thank you so much for having me on.
Dude, I have literally watched in awe of your Facebook lives that you do, and you're like a walking viral video. You could use that in your marketing. Like, I'm a walking viral video.
I love it, man. I love it. I would absolutely consider that. I appreciate that, man. I like to, every time I get on live on any video, anything that I'm doing, I like to make sure that I give it everything that I've got.
Heck yeah, man. I know I've watched a lot of them, and I'm like, I can't even take notes that fast. Like, there's so much going on. I'm like, crap. So, yeah, man, I got them all saved, like a Facebook. Hit the save the video, go back and watch it. You know what I mean? I'm like, okay, got it. Go.
Yeah,
so,
man,
yeah, man, we'll watch you for a long
man.
time, man.
I appreciate that support, brother.
Definitely.
That's what it's all about, man, getting out there, giving content to everybody. And it's always amazing, man. I always get a lot of messages and, everybody hits my inbox, man. They're just like, hey, I appreciate that. That was right on time, right on target. I needed to hear that.
Yeah.
And that's what it's always all about, just adding that, giving that value to people. And, it's not a course. It's nothing, although I have courses and different things that I do in my business, but that is something that I always have loved ever since I got involved with the social media side of things, is just putting the content out there and understanding that I know that it's going to hit somebody at the right time.
Oh, yeah, man. Definitely. And you do a great job with that. So the title of this show, or this episode of the show, is Entrepreneurial Mindset with Richard Trevino II. Richard is a consultant, a speaker, and a writer in the expertise of personal development topics such as productivity, leadership, company culture, and the entrepreneurial mindset. He's also a #1 best-selling author with his book, Taming Turnover, and a contributor for multiple major publications like Entrepreneur, Addicted to Success, AskMen, The Good Men Project, and Thrive Global. His mission for his company, which is the Elevation Consulting Firm, is to help companies grow their people so they can grow their bottom line. If you need to know anything else about this guy, you can go to www.richardtrevino, which is Trevino, and then the number 2, Richard Trevino, the number 2, trevino.com. It's all in the show notes. You go ahead and click on that. Connect with this dude, because if you're not following him on any social media platform, you are already behind the power curve. So, dude, I got to ask you, man, the first question I always ask the guests, and I think is the very most important, the core question that we should be asking ourselves every day, is why? Why be an entrepreneur? Why not just a 9-to-5? What is your big why for what you do?
Awesome question, man. Like Simon Sinek says, you've got to start with why. He actually wrote that book called You Got to Start with Why, right? So my why is, it comes from actually a place of pain and a place of bliss as well. So I come from the corporate world, and I worked in, corporate America for 12 years in the insurance industry, the financial industry, and it's very cutthroat, super high turnover. It has one of the highest turnovers in any industry. And it's just it's a very difficult place to be successful in. And thankfully, I was actually very successful in what I did. 6-figure earner, manager, supervisor, helping people, developing teams, and all that stuff. Now, I say all that to say this of what my why is. I saw a lot of bad things happening in the industry and a lot of bad things happening in my time in corporate America. And because of that, my why I do what I do, why I chose to go this path as an entrepreneur and to own my own business and to step up to this platform and to this calling is because I truly have a desire to help people. That's my why. My why is people and helping them to develop themselves, to get into a better place internally. One of the worst things in the world is that I think is that there are people that get up every single morning, at the butt crack of dawn, and they get up, and they get showered up and they have their crazy routines, get prepared, leave their family, and everything that means the most to them in life, and push themselves to get to work at a job that they hate. A lot of times dealing with a manager that they despise, and a lot of times, dealing with a company culture that literally is eating away at them. And so for me, if I can be able to do something to help them, to deliver content and deliver a product, to a company, and be able to come in and speak to companies and help them to deal with some of those interior things and show them how to deal with some of those things and create a better environment for them, I think that it's a huge success. So for me, my why is helping people ultimately, because on a daily basis, people are literally taking their own lives because of the stresses that they're feeling. And I think we've all been, anybody that's been in corporate America knows and has had a 9-to-5 job has had that gut-wrenching feeling of, man, I don't want to go to work today. If I could just drive to work. I had this thought one time that I was driving to work, and multiple times I would have to say that, and I thought to myself, man, if I could just get in a car accident, I mean, not a bad one, not a horrible one, but just enough that it could stop me and I could have an excuse to just, I'll be in the ER, I'll get checked out and stuff, just to not have to go to work. Nobody should have to feel that way. So for myself, my why is I do what I do to help people, to help them create a better company culture so that they don't have to have that stress, and they can pull that off there and they can actually start enjoying what they're doing. I mean, we spend most of our time at work and away from our family. Yeah. So that's my why. My why is to help people. Naturally, everybody always says their why is their family and their kids and all this and that. And that's obvious. That's the obvious. If that's not one of your whys, I think we have multiple whys. And so for me, that's obviously my a why of mine, but my business, why I do what I do, and why do I step up to the plate like I did into this level, was for people, to help them.
I love it, dude. Man, it's exactly right. I've spent the last 17 years, in the military, and it starts out as, I want to serve my country and I'm a patriot, and then it goes to, well, now I got a wife and kids, and now I want to protect them, and then pretty soon it's like, I don't want to do this anymore because I have a wife and kids. Like, it just, your priority shifts. You know what I mean? And you're absolutely right. Simon Sinek, his most famous TED Talk
Right.
You know, it talks about how people don't buy into what you do, they buy why you do it.
Why? Exactly.
So if you have a great, deep why for what you do, and I love when I ask you that question because I get a lot of the, well, my wife and kids or the family or, I wanted to feel value. Like there's always something as a common thread, you know what I mean? You kind of expect it, but I love hearing the ones that go deeper than that. You know, like this is really, you know what I mean?
That's real. That's real, man. That's that's what it comes down to, Sean. That's the rawness of it, right? Because we're in a society that people expect certain things from us, and everybody's expected to have that my family. And again, that's just too general for me, you know. And so yes, I love my family. I mean, they mean everything to me. But the main reason that I could have stayed at my corporate job, making six figures, doing very well, having a good schedule. I could have done that. Mm-hmm. You know, I could have done that because I love my family and endured the pain. I did it for 12 years. I could have endured the pain and continued on. You know, my health deteriorating, me losing my touch with my family and my relationship with my wife, not as good as it could have been. Me losing touch with the people at my church and community. You know, not taking time out for myself. But my why, you know, I could have done that from obviously I love them and I could have continued that, but, you know, I knew I had a calling in my life to help people beyond what I was doing. And as an insurance manager, I managed, you know, at times 6, 8, 10, you know, different agents at the same time. But I always understood that, man, my impact is so strong. People, I work very well with them. I help them. I inspire them. And I always take them to the next level. And so I always knew that I wanted to help people, but I wanted to take it to the next level to get a bigger platform to help more people.
Mm-hmm.
And so if that's what somebody wants, you know, they always say if you truly want something, the desire of somebody's heart, when you truly want something, there is nothing that will hold you back from that, nothing that can stop you except for you. And so for myself, I made a decision of saying, I'm going to go for it. I'm going to go for it. And did it cost me? Yes. But, you know, we're here, man.
Yeah, man. You know, I always live my life by one simple principle. You say yes and you figure it out.
Yeah, I like
That's
that.
How I live my life.
I love that.
You say yes and figure it out. Because successful people don't make excuses, they make results. Broke people make excuses. So if you have this mentality that you have to make it happen no matter what, like you make it happen. And in my mastermind, the success core is rule number 10 is make it happen no matter what. Make it happen no matter what. No excuses. No nothing. You either make it happen or you make excuses. And you'll either find a reason why you're not going to do it or you're going to find a reason to do it. Simple as that.
It's absolutely the truth. I do a talk for companies, and it's called excuse. It's called excuse or execute. There is no in between. Excuse or execute. There is no in between. And you're absolutely right. You know, I have found, and when I'm teaching actually doing some consulting for management teams and some executives, I have found that I always tell them this. We always come to that point where they talk about difficult situations and stuff, and my thought on that is like you, man. I mean, you've got to make it happen. And when you're in a difficult situation, you know, like they say, between a rock and a hard place, your creativity will be forged. It will be pulled out of you. The things that you never knew that you could be able to do, your most creative thoughts come when there is no options. You start coming up with some options.
Yep. Oh, yeah, man. When your back's against the wall, and, you know, so I always say that time and money are two things that people willingly never give up. Like, never. Mm-hmm. So if you want to know what somebody values, go back 30 days and look at what they spent money on, and go back 30 days and look at what they spent time on. In the trainings that I do inside of different, like, entrepreneur events, empowerment events, and even with different leadership trainings that I do, you know, I always talk about core values. Like, that's one thing that I hit on because the military has core values. And so I talk, like, I'll talk at entrepreneur places, you know, and like, so you have core values in your business? I mean, nobody here right now has bought a Camaro from Chevy because of Chevy's core values. Like, that's not what happens. Yeah. You know, it's usually like their customer service, or like, you know, it's always the miles per gallon for this car, or like there's something about it. but it always comes down to one thing. Like, I'm not going to buy from Chevy because they're either a-holes, or I'm going to buy from Chevy because I like their craftsmanship. I like there's something about them that draws them to you. So I tell people, that if you have core values, people buy into that. And so I have them go back for like 5 minutes. I'm like, right now, everybody, right now, go to your bank, go online to your bank right now, and I want to know what you spent money on. List it out. Groceries, family, vacation. Like, I want you to write down stuff. And I'm like, who spent money on crap that has nothing to do with their dreams? Because I have them write down their dreams first, and then I have them write down what they spent time and money on. And they literally were like, holy crap. Like, I'm telling you.
Perspective, man.
Yep. You need to audit your life, man. Look at your bank account for the last 30 days and look at your calendar for the last 30 days, because time and money are two things that people willingly never give up. Anybody listening right now wants to send me $50. My PayPal is bagel697 if you want to send me $50. So, bagel697 at yahoo.com. That's my PayPal. Send me $50. Anybody listening? So,
amazing.
I
want to touch on something real quick that you just said.
Yeah, go ahead. Yeah, man.
You said you've got to audit. You've got to audit your business. You've got to audit your lifestyle, your living, your thought process, who you are. And one of the things I always say, and it's also in my book, is you have to inspect what you expect. You can't plant beans and Brussels sprouts are going to pop out. It doesn't work that way. You've got to inspect what you expect. If you expect a certain thing, you've got to look like I love that. I might just use that if that'd be okay.
Dude, absolutely. Dude, I'm telling you, when you see the reactions from people's faces, and even me, like, dude, I do this all the time. Okay. And I'm like, dang. Because we buy on emotions, identity, and needs, right? So those are the three things that we typically buy things on. But there's sometimes, like, it might have been a good month or something. I'm like, oh, babe, we should go see a movie. Like, cool. And then that turns into, oh, you need some necklaces and earrings, and you need, like, oh, can I get my hair done? And all of a sudden, you look back a month ago and you're like, dang it. Like,
yeah, you got on a roll. You went on a roll.
Right? You forget about it. You forget about it, So I'm very careful at what I spend money on, and my calendar is posted. Like, I have a huge whiteboard, and like, I tell my wife, like, if it's not in my calendar, I'm not doing it. So, and she's like, my friends look at me that are not entrepreneurs, like, I cannot believe I actually have to schedule time with your family. Yeah. You schedule time with, like, for 1 hour, and you don't take calls. You don't take, like, for 1 hour at dinner, we don't do nothing but eat dinner and talk as a family. Me and my wife and my 3 kids. I got 4 kids, but one of them's a baby. So I got the wife, we got the 3 kids, and we're at the table, we're talking, and I don't care if the phone rings. I don't care if somebody comes at the door. Like, no, it's family time. It's dinner time. And then, 8:30, 9 o'clock, like, that's when, like, we're settling down to watch a movie, or we're hanging out with the kids, playing a game, like, whatever. Like, this is the time that is scheduled. And so if I pop on my phone and check a Facebook, and if I check my phone for a Facebook message, you better believe my wife's going to schwack me. You know what I mean? She's like, get off the phone. It's not Facebook time, it's family time, and that other family can wait. I'm like, all right.
Is there any way we can bleep that off of the recording so my wife doesn't hear that?
It's all hypothetical, by the way. It's all hypothetical.
Yeah.
So, man, the point of the show is, when I started the show, is to highlight these transformational moments, right? I mean, 10 years ago, we weren't who we were. 10 years ago, I'm battling alcohol abuse and addiction. And now 10 years later, I'm a TEDx speaker and I'm doing a show. That was never, I didn't even know what a podcast was 10 years ago, right? So who were you 10 years ago? Who is Richard Trevino 10 years ago?
Man, 10 years ago, I was stuck in corporate America. I was in the insurance industry. I was a sales manager, making good money, running around like crazy, working, 10, 12 hours a day for somebody else, and pouring literally my everything, and I mean that wholeheartedly, my everything into my career. I hit, and quite honestly, I don't know if I actually loved what I did. I think that I'm such a good salesperson that I had actually sold myself on the idea that this is what your future is. You have to start loving this, because if you love it, you're going to be better at it. And if you love it, the more better days that you're going to have, and you're not going to be fighting it every single morning. And so I think I actually probably sold myself on that. But I was training people, developing leaders, and growing, earning money, making money, getting a lot of times out of touch with my family, because I was spending so much time at work, and my priorities were all screwed up. My health, I was having back issues and things like that. I was dedicated, committed, had that company's blood, flowing through my veins. And so I was going to stay with the company, retire with the company, and that was that. I gave this company all of my 20s. I started when I was 21 years old. And so I gave literally all of my 20s. And so those were some really good years, for most people, your 20s are, and I gave them all of it. And so that's where I was about 10 years ago. Had stuff, nice home, nice cars, no problems. That's where I was at. That's where I was. But I was lost, and I didn't even know it. I've always known, and I've always felt that deep conviction within, knowing that there was more for me. And a lot of times when I would be at the office that I was working in and with the people at the meetings, I would have outsiders, new people that would come in, and they would strike up a conversation, with me. We would talk and stuff, and they would see me lead some of the meetings and the different, training programs that we were doing, and they would always come up like clockwork. And I think it was just a message that was trying to get to me, but I was being too stubborn to hear it. But they would always say, "Man, what are you doing here? Like, you don't fit in here. You're different. You should be working at such and such company, massive, huge companies and firms and stuff. You should be working here or there. I mean, you don't belong here." And I would hear that. I would feel good about it, but then I would quickly stomp that out, stomp that fire that was trying to be kindled inside of me, and tell myself, no, this is your reality. This is what you do. You make money. Your bills are paid. Everything's fine. Continue moving forward. And so that was a state that I was in 10 years ago.
Wow. Isn't it amazing? You look back 10 years and you're like, so much different, like even the surroundings and things like your mindset's different.
Everything. Right?
You do things differently. You think differently. You act differently. And not that you're not who you are. It's just because you've grown, and call it maturity, call it whatever, call it being wiser, whatever. But I mean, I know people who are still doing the same things. Like, man, it's so hard. So I'm from Detroit, and it's so awful to go home on leave from the military and go back to my hometown, and my dudes that I'd hang out with in high school, dude, they're still doing the same stuff.
Same thing.
I'm like, what are you doing, dude? Like, dude, I've been to all these countries. I speak everywhere. I wrote a book. I'm writing a second book. Like, I'm doing like all this stuff. And they're like, yeah, I just, hang out and go to work. And, I'm like, have you thought about like taking a vacation? They're like, yeah, I don't really have any money. I don't really have any money. I'm like, dude, and it's so painful to watch, because really, and I think it was like a Jim Rohn quote or whatever, like your network is your net worth.
Yeah.
And I never really internalized that until I went home, and I see that people doing the same things. 10 years ago, they're still doing the same things, drinking on a Friday and Saturday, working at the same job. They're not moving up the ladder, it's a factory job or whatever. They're having kids.
Right.
Like, they're literally like doing the bare minimum, like middle-class stuff. I'm like, dude, I can't, like, I got to take a vacation. I got to go to the beach. I got to go like go on a drive.
Exactly.
I can't, it hurts to live at a low level. Like, it really, and it's not arrogant. It just does. I don't know. Am I the only one?
No, you're absolutely right, man. I mean, I wholeheartedly agree with you. The thing is that they say that, you can't, there's certain things that when you see them, you can't unsee them. You can't unlearn things, right? And so
right.
I think what has happened in our lives and in other entrepreneurs' lives and people that have grown and have allowed themselves to grow and have gone on this process of change in their life, because I completely believe that I'm always real leery when people say, oh, I'm a changed man. I'm always very leery of that because I always say, we're not changed yet. We're changing. We're in the process, because we're ever evolving creatures. So when you say you changed, that's past tense. That means that you're at the point where you are going to be now. So I think we're in a state of ever changing, right? So, but I think that what has happened in our lives is that the veil has been taking off of our eyes, and we've been able to see gratefully and thankfully a better side of life. We've had situations where they were not good situations. We've had conditions and living conditions that we've been in a state of being, in a state of living. We had, like everybody else, we had succumbed to, and we had accepted that this was going to be it. But we got to a point where something happened, something snapped, something clicked inside of us where we said, I want more. We challenged that status quo. We challenged that inner voice that reminds us constantly with whomever put it in there. Sometimes it's our parents, and sometimes it's different figures in our lives, but that voice that tells us that this is all. You can't have more. You're not supposed to want more. It's actually bad if you want more. Right. And I think that what happens is we end up finally seeing that there is more. It's like the Wizard of Oz effect. You peek behind the curtain and you realize, holy crap, it's not what I thought. It's like I always use this analogy that it's like when you get in an airplane, right? And if you're down on the ground and you're here on the earth and you're looking up and you're like, man, you look up and you see all these clouds and it's like all this blue in the clouds and you're like, man, that must be the ceiling. That's it. That's our limit. That's the high of the sky, they say, right? Until you get in an airplane, you get into a different vehicle, and then you have an opportunity to go all the way up to them clouds, and then you break through the clouds, and all of a sudden your mind blows, and you're like, holy cow. You look down, and the clouds are down instead of up now, and you look up, and you're like, dude, there's more on the other side of that. And so I think what's happened is that our eyes have been open. We saw behind the curtain. We realized that there is more in life as long as you're willing to put the effort into it, and gratefully and thankfully, we have been willing to put the effort in. And I think that's the problem a lot of times with people is that, a lot of times people, they want more, but they just at times aren't willing to put the work in. They're not willing to sacrifice a little bit now to obtain those things. I did a post yesterday on a video, and it was and the quote that I used was vision without execution is a hallucination.
Yep. That's what got me pinged on you. I was like, oh, dude, I gotta make the call now. It's like, I gotta have him on my show. Like, this is crazy.
It's crazy, but it's so true.
Yeah.
Because, people can have a vision. I just spoke to a friend of mine just after that video. It was so impactful that somebody messaged me and said, man, I've been watching what you're doing. I appreciate what you're doing. You've inspired me and so many others of us. And this is one of those friends of mine that also was, in my past that has kind of gotten, stuck. He's stuck in the everyday life of just, that this is what life is. This is what it's going to be in the next 40 years, until I retire or whatever, but he was one of those guys you're talking about. And so, but I was so touched that he was touched. When I heard that, he said, it sparked something in me, and it's been sparking something in me, and I want to open up a gym. I don't know. I just want to open up a gym. I have dreams and things and ambitions that I have and visions, and something's stirring up inside of me. And I said, brother, you need to go for it. You need to just do it. Don't think about it twice. Start going after it, because that's the thing is that if we get to that point, we all there at one point where we're like, this is what life is going to be. But we have to literally make a choice whether we want to stay there or move forward. And to anybody that would be listening, I'm telling you right now, if you're looking for a sign, here's your sign. Go for it. Go for that dream. First step you got to do, though, is you've got to start learning about that craft or that business or whatever it is that you're trying to get into, that market, that industry, whatever it is. You've got to learn a little bit about it, find a mentor, find somebody that's doing that, and start emulating what they're doing. There's nothing wrong with that. Yep. Start emulating them so you can catch your flow. Go on Google, go on YouTube. There's so much free information out there. If you don't have the money to be able to invest in courses or coaching or mentoring, Do everything you possibly can to learn the information and then run with it. Don't stop, execute. Because like that saying says, vision without execution is a hallucination. And the thing about hallucinations is that, a hallucination, it's not real. It's that person's reality. Like to them, it's real, but they're being fooled. They're fooling themselves. Whatever's happening, what's causing that hallucination, they're fooling themselves. But the crazy thing about a hallucination is that the people on the outside, they know it's not happening. They know it's not real. So sometimes I think people get into this place where they're just like, man, I want to, but without executing, man, that's the state they're going to be in, is if I want to. And they're going to end up being 90 years old on their deathbed saying, man, I wanted to. I wonder what would have happened. So what's the worst that can happen? The business doesn't work? Okay, cool. Start something else. But at least you don't live with the regret of that.
Yeah, man. Nailed it. That was awesome. So I'm curious, is there a transformational moment that changed your life, that put you on the path to what you're doing today?
Yes, absolutely. So I've always been involved with personal development, right, since probably in my teens. My dad's a pastor of a church. I'm an associate minister. I help out at the church a lot. I'm very involved in our community and giving back to people. I have a heart for people, right? And so at our church, we deal with a lot of people that a lot of people don't want to deal with. A lot of churches will not, deal with them because they're, some of them are on drugs, alcoholics, ex-convicts, convicts, people just getting out of jail, homeless people, all these different types of people that can't give back. But that's where our heartbeat is to help people like that. And so for me, the whole personal development thing has been ingrained into me from a young age. But when I got to that place of working at the corporate world, developing people, my hunger to see the people that I was working with and directly under my leadership, to see them start getting trophies and awards and all these different things and moving up the ladder and seeing their success and how ecstatic that they were and how proud that they were, and the tears of joy and the hugs and the thank you cards and all of these things saying thank you so much for helping me to be the best me and to be better and to improve my situation. Man, to see that kind of stuff happen, I think that was a very big pivoting moment for me because it impacted me. I realized that I have the power to impact somebody's world. And a lot of people talk about impacting the entire world. I want to impact the world. I want to impact, that's all good. That's good. But you got to get a little bit more deliberate about that. You got to get a little bit more real about that, And so, like, we have a saying at our church. We always say, man, it's all good. You want to pray for the whole world? Great. But we're very real, man, about what we do. We always tell people, why don't you pray for your friends, your family, people that are directly in your path, that you have a direct impact in their life. How about that? Let's start there. And so I think that was a big pivoting moment for me to see the transformation in them. Some of them that moved up into management and upper management, and their incomes, were going through the roof. That meant the world to me. And so I understood my power at that moment. And that's when I said, you know what? There is more. There is more. I saw something the other day on Facebook, and they said, I think they said 2 words. You see this a lot out there, right? It says, what are 2 words that you would tell a younger you? And my 2 words were think bigger. And the other one, I had to put 2 because I'm outside of the box kind of guy. I put 2 of them. I put, think bigger, and there's more. There's more.
Yes.
And so when I realized my power, man, I understood at that moment that there was more. And in order to be able to, there was an intrinsic motivation and an intrinsic pleasure that I felt, man. The dopamine was flowing through me at those moments. And like all things that give us dopamine, we're going to continue doing those things to continue to get that hit of dopamine. So thankfully, it was actually a good high that I was getting there by helping people. And so that was a huge pivoting moment for me to understand and get focused about, I want to do more of this. And it helped me.
Yep. Boom. So Life Transformation Radio listeners, if you have any questions for my guest today, the number is 657-383-1109. Again, the number 657-383-1109. We are talking to Richard Trevino II about entrepreneurial mindset, transformation, and his overall awesomeness. So I want to take it and put it on you, man. Like, talk about your book. #1 best-selling author of Taming Turnover. Talk about that book, man, and why you wrote the book.
Cool. Appreciate it, man. So Taming Turnover, I wrote it in the end of 2016, I'm sorry. I wrote the book in 45 days and self-published, put it out there. And my coach at the time that was helping me along the ride, he told me to, put it in such and such targets and this and that and to certain categories. And when I did it, Amazon actually put me in the zone. It didn't put me in the one I wanted to go into, which was fine. It was in my category though. And so it was insurance and it was in sales and management. And so I'm not sure if you're familiar with Freakonomics, but Freakonomics has an amazing, huge following, huge. And so I was in their category, and my coach says, "Man, you're not going to get #1. I mean, you might be able to get in there, top 100 or something, but we're going to keep pushing." I said, "It's all good, man. If I get in the top sellers, that'd be amazing." I had a lot of outpouring of support, and we ended up passing them, and we stayed there for about 2 months back and forth. And all the way a year later, matter of fact, a couple of months ago, I checked it, and we were actually still within the top 100 in our category, so we're still on the bestseller list. But the book itself,
very cool.
It came from a place of pain as well. It's crazy, right? So,
yep.
The reality is that as people in this life, we're going to deal with, we're going to have issues that come up, seemingly bad situations. But it's all about what you do with them, right? And so for me, when I went through that situation at work and all this bad and negative things that were happening and stuff and all this horrible stuff, I didn't realize it at the time, but it was actually giving me enough content to write my book. And had I not gone through all of that situation, I would have never been able to have the content for the book. So it was pretty cool. But obviously 2020, hindsight's 2020. At the moment, it sucked, right? But at the moment of writing the book, I was like, dude, this is why. This is why. So I wrote the book, and it's basically a leadership book. It's for leaders in any capacity. It doesn't matter if you're a supervisor at a company, you're a pastor of a church or an organization in the community, a leader in your home. All the principles that I speak about in the book are all to help leaders take ownership and responsibility for their responsibilities in the relationship of being a leader. We always hear the old saying, like when we're kids, people would always say, "Don't point," right? You don't point because when you point that one finger at somebody, you actually have 3 fingers pointing back at you, right? And so the thing is that in the relationship between me and the person that I'm leading, I carry more responsibility and more weight in that relationship than they do. Their success is determined a lot on me and how I'm teaching them, what I teach them, and when I teach them even at certain points. But it's a leadership book, and it's just a real practical, real pragmatic book. People have actually kind of freaked out about it because they're like, dude, it's not anything what I thought it was going to be or what I expected. I use a lot of real, practical stories to illustrate my principles. For instance, in one of them, I talk about when I was folding clothes in my room, my laundry, and my son comes in and hops in. He says, "Dada, my son was 3 years old at the time. He says, "Dada, I'm a kangaroo. I'm a kangaroo." And I look at him and I said, "Baby, you ain't a kangaroo." And his face, his countenance just dropped. I mean, I crushed him. Mm-hmm. I felt horrible as a father. It's like a failure. And because I saw that, but immediately I changed my face so he wouldn't think, continue with that feeling. I said, "No, baby." I said, You can be a kangaroo. You can be." He said, "I can." I said, "Baby, you can be anything that you want to be. Look at me. Dada's the kangaroo too. Look." And I started hopping. And I said, look, if you go real low and you spring up real high, you can go even higher like a big kangaroo. And his face completely changed. And he said, I can be a kangaroo. I said, baby, you can be anything you want. Go practice on your hopping. And he did. I use that very basic, right, yet touching story in the book to illustrate the principle that when your people come to you in any industry that you're in or any form of leadership that you're in, when your people come to you and they have a wild and crazy idea, they have this crazy goal that nobody's ever done in the company, and you shoot them down and say, nobody can do that. That's unrealistic. Unrealistic for who?
Yep.
You're being a dream crusher. And so I talk about that a little bit, but that's just an example of what the book kind of like entails a little bit in the stories that I add in there. But so the book is it's a leadership book for anybody in any leadership capacity, to challenge them to own up to it, take responsibility and say, hey, listen, if my people aren't doing well, maybe it's on me. Maybe I need to look in the mirror. What can I do?
Dude, you just said something that I always say in my trainings. How I stand out is I like to debunk things, and find fault in things. So I have people talk about goals all the time, right? Goals and goals and goals. You got to accomplish goals and these goals and set goals. I'm like, I don't do that. I talk about dreams. Set dreams, right? And so I said, it's fun to dream about the $1 million until you actually win the lottery. Then you have to do something about it. It was fun for me to dream for years that I'd be a TEDx speaker. Apply, denied. And then one day I got accepted. You're like, oh crap, now it's going to be real. Like now I actually have to do it, And I always tell them, I said that there's always an acronym for everything. I'm an acronym junkie. So there's always an acronym for everything. Always. And so goals, you have to have SMART goals, specific, measurable, attainable, like all that stuff. And I always ask everybody, I'm like, what do you think the R means? And they'll say, oh, it's realistic. And I'm like, whose realism? Mine or yours? Because if I set a realistic goal for me to be a net worth millionaire in the next 2 years, and you say, oh, yeah, right. Well, why can't I be? Why can't we do that to our kids all the time? Oh, no, you can't do that. You can't do that. Just play safe. Just do this. No, you can't, And we don't realize that we're the same way. If the roles were reversed and they said, well, Dad, you're going to win the lottery tomorrow. And you're like, no, I'm not going to do it. Like, you know what I'm saying?
Yep.
So it's almost like conventional wisdom trumps us every time. And we have to get away from that conventional wisdom. And really, like, whose realism? When you set a SMART goal, and I hate the SMART goal, I get it, specific, measurable, got it. Cool, got it. We do this. But like the realism, like who set realistic goals? According to whose realism? Because my realism is way higher than most people's I know.
Exactly.
Same as you, man. You got super realistic goals that are like, I'm going to do this. And the outside looking in, people are like, oh, yeah, right. Nobody's going to do that. Right. Oh, yeah, right. They said the same thing to Jeff Bezos. They said the same thing to Jeff Hoffman, founder of Priceline.com. They said the same thing to Jack Ma. They said the same thing to the founders of Uber and Lyft and Walmart and even in McDonald's. I watched a documentary on McDonald's. Like they said the same thing. Like it's not going to happen. It's never going to happen. Never going to happen. Said every great, amazing invention that has changed the world ever. Oh, it's never going to. Nobody's going to get computers. Those are stupid. Who's going to buy computers? And then look at Apple. Look at Microsoft.
Exactly.
If we would have listened to that other person's realism, we wouldn't have half the technology that we'd have today.
You're absolutely right, man. Absolutely right.
Yeah. So speak about that entrepreneurial mindset that we're talking. Like what does it take? Because I feel like entrepreneurship is on the decline, and it's not like the cool thing anymore. We're always talking about, going to college and doing this and playing it safe. And I just talk about what it takes to be an entrepreneur, a successful entrepreneur.
What it all boils down to is ownership. That's what it is. Because that's what entrepreneurship is all about, is owning your business. It's about owning everything that's happening in that business, right? And so not only in that, but where you are, where you're headed, what's happening, what's going to happen. That's what entrepreneurship's all about. I think that it's it's a higher calling for a lot of people. And a lot of people, I think that's one of the reasons why they refuse to become an entrepreneur, because it's a great responsibility. It's a great responsibility. And naturally, people don't want more responsibility. They want to be able to do as little as possible, make as much as money as possible, keep their head low, and just get through life, and occasionally have a little bit of fun here and little peak moments of bliss in life, or just keep your head down, right? Because like you said, conventional wisdom. But that's what entrepreneurship is all about. It's about owning up. And it takes a very strong man or woman to become an entrepreneur, be an entrepreneur, and be a successful entrepreneur. And I think that the more that you own up to your stuff, and that somebody owns up to what's happening and what's not happening, and then does something about it, that's what true entrepreneurship is all about. Because you get into entrepreneurship, right, because you want to be able to create a life, a lifestyle business, or you want to create a life where you're not just only working, but you're able to enjoy your life. You don't want to work at a company, and continue shoveling more money. You want a bigger piece of a pie. But again, it requires more responsibility on your plate. So I tip my hat off to any entrepreneur, anyone that started a business, and regardless of how it went, whether it was good or bad, I tip my hat off to them, because you're right. A lot of people get to the point of having the vision, having the great idea, and having just a vision or a dream or about what it could be, but they always get that far, and they're never willing to commit to go the next step and say, let's risk it, let's try, let's see what happens, or they're just not committed enough to put in the extra effort that it's going to take to get through the hard times. So I think entrepreneurship is just that, and it's a lot of responsibility. It's people owning up to their destiny. In short, it's people owning up to their destiny. Because in a company, you don't have to, working for somebody else, you don't have to worry about much. You just do your job. Do that one thing that you're supposed to be doing. But when you're an entrepreneur and you're starting your own business, you got to own up. You got to own up to all of the different hats that you're supposed to wear until you get started and you've got enough cash flow to start hiring people. So it takes it takes a very brave soul to do that. And is it worth it? Absolutely, it can be worth it. It's going to take some blood, sweat, and tears. Yep. But I think one of the best things that any entrepreneur, any person that's getting started in business can do is find a mentor, find a coach, find somebody that you can be able to cry them bitter tears when you need to cry them out, but also at the same time, somebody's going to kick you in the butt and say, wipe them tears. Time to get back up, because tomorrow's a new day and we got to keep going. But yeah, entrepreneurship is ownership, man. It's ownership. That's what it is. Owning not just a company, but owning up to your destiny.
Yep. There you go, man. I love it. Perfect. So, man, as we start to wrap up the show, I think it's great that we talk about these things and really dive deep. But there's these moments that we too need somebody. We too need some help. You know what I mean? Like I look at, Gary Vee's not by himself. John Maxwell, Greg Reed, the influencers, Eric Swanson. Like these guys are not by themselves. Like they have a team of people, right? Exactly. So I'm curious, man, who are your influencers? I mean, they always say it gets lonely at the top, right? It gets lonelier and lonelier and lonelier. But I'm wondering, who influences Richard Trevino?
I have a couple or a few mentors and coaches in my life, and that they are there, that I can be able to talk to about anything that I'm going through. One of those people is my dad.
Wow.
Like I said, he's a minister of the church, but it's crazy because, when I was young and we weren't involved with, church and personal development in our life and stuff, my dad was a pretty bad dude, and had a drug addiction, alcoholism, all this different stuff. And I saw a lot of bad things. And so I had a lot of hate towards him. But when he began to get involved with church and rehabilitate and programs and stuff, and he kicked the drugs, kicked the alcohol, kicked all this stuff, and started becoming a different father. Actually became a father. I saw the power that lied within him. And he's a huge inspiration for my life. It's a constant reminder that anything is possible. He always told me something. He always said, Rich, son, always understand this. He said, learn how to or how not to do something based upon what I'm doing. If I did it right and it worked, go for it. If I didn't do it right and it didn't work, son, learn from me so you can minimize the amount of bruises that you get and the cuts and the bashings, beatings. So you can minimize that stuff and you can get a lot farther than what I've ever been able to attain. And so he's one of my biggest mentors to me. Also, I've got a personal coach that I have as well that's helped me through my journey as well as in my consulting business and authorship. Kimanzi Constable, he's also another one of my coaches and mentors in my life as well. And very practical guy, very practical. But he's also been there throughout my journey. And, those are a couple of people that are mentors and coaches in my life. And you made a statement a little bit earlier, that you don't see some of the greats, people that we would consider great leaders of our time, or even past time, by themselves. And I am a firm believer in coaches, firm believer in mentors, and teams, because you'll never see a fighter, an MMA fighter or boxer or anything like that, or any athlete, go into the ring, go onto the field, get into the court, and not be able to look back any time during the fight or the game, or the competition, and not see a coach or somebody in their corner. There's always somebody behind them, and these are high performing experts in their sport. These people are trained athletes, yet when they need, the fighter looks back and he's got a cut man, he's got a towel guy, he's got the water guy, and then he's got his coach that's telling him, do this, do that, don't do this, don't do that. But what always amazes me, and again, we deal with a lot of people that have hard lives, and are going through a lot of stuff that are at the church and stuff. But one of the things that amazes me about people is that a lot of the people, the majority of, I would have to say, of people that have not gone anywhere, that have gotten stuck somewhere in life, are people that refuse to have a coach, a mentor, somebody in their corner. And they always have the words come out of their mouths when you're trying to give them counsel, give them help. They always say, I'm a grown man, I'm a grown woman, I don't need you telling me what to do. I don't need you running my life. And it's like, whoa, that's funny, because I know some decamillionaires, and some very successful people, and they literally pay tens of thousands of dollars a month for a coach, a mentor, somebody to speak and tell them what to do, not to do, and give them better strategies. Yet you have $5 to your name, and you're telling me that you don't need anybody. There is a disconnect. Right. So I'm a firm believer, man, in coaches and mentors. I am a coach as well. I do personal coaching and mentorship, and it's amazing because I do coaching and mentorship for some executives, high-level managers, management teams, individuals, entrepreneurs, as well as people that are off the streets, man, that they're dealing with drug addictions, they're dealing with alcoholism, they're dealing with a gang life, and it's crazy because it's two extremes. But the reality is, the common ground is that we're all people, and we're dealing with something, and we all need somebody.
Yep. Yeah, it blew me away that, like Tony Robbins has coaches. What? Tony Robbins is like the category king. Like
$1 million a year for coaching.
Right?
Yep.
I mean, that's like, if you want to work with Tony Robbins, you have to like sell your children, but like, you know what I mean? Just afford the guy. But he has coaches. So I was like, dude, I wonder how much Tony Robbins pays his coaches. Like,
I know.
You know what I mean? Like, a Tony Robbins gets $1 million a year. Like, if you want to coach a Tony Robbins, you have to pay him $1 million a year. Like, I wonder what he's paying his coaches.
Exactly.
You know, like,
Exactly.
like you are Tony Robbins' coach. Like, how high are you on the food chain? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But I thought that once you got to a separate level, you didn't need coaches anymore. You are the coach. Nope. That is false. That is way false.
Absolutely. And that's what I'm saying. I think there's a huge disconnect amongst people. And I think that's one of the big, things that is holding a lot of people back is that, and it will slow them down in their entrepreneur life and in their success in general in life, is that the fact that I had a friend of mine that he used to always tell me, he told me this, right? He went to prison for 3 years, and he was a young guy, grew up in church and stuff, well-to-do kid, and then got a settlement at the age of 18 and basically threw the finger at his family and was like, I don't need you telling me what to do anymore, and I don't need the church, I don't need nobody. And so he took off with his $30,000, spent it all, got high, drunk, parties galore, the girls, friends and all that stuff, spent it all within a matter of months, ended up doing something stupid, got caught and ended up in prison, taking the rap for some people, and ended up in prison for, I think, 2.5, almost 3 years. Spent his 21st birthday in prison. And he told me, I asked him one time because he finally got out, and he's doing amazing now. He's got a little girl, getting married and stuff. He's doing amazing now. But it's sad that he had to go through all that, right, in order to get to where he's at now. But I asked him, I said, give me some of your thoughts on that, man. What could you have done different? I mean, what should you have done different in hindsight? And he says, bro, I should have listened, man. I always told my dad, I'm so stupid. I don't know why, but I used to tell my dad, I've got to go through it myself. He said, my dad would always try to tell me, son, don't do this. Son, don't do that. Don't, trying to help guide him. And he said, I used to always tell him every time, I don't need you to tell me what to do. I have to go through it myself. I'm the kind of guy that I have to go through it myself to learn it. He said, and that was the stupidest thing. Looking back, it was the stupidest thing that I could have ever said, because the lessons that I learned, I learned them on my own, and they cost me dearly. I said, man, that's tough. He goes, I said, what else would you have done? And he said, I would have listened, bro. I didn't realize that everybody that was I thought they were trying to tell me how to live my life. I didn't realize they were trying to guide me to make better decisions. And I think it's all a matter of perspective. If people can go into a mentorship or into a coaching with somebody, or take them as your coach or your mentor in your life and as a guide, I think that's what has to be. They're just there trying to help you to make better decisions. You're going to ultimately make the decision, but they're just there to help you to make better decisions. So, right. But I think there's a huge disconnect, man. There's a lot of people down at the bottom that are not doing anything, and they're stuck in that mentality. But I think if they would be able to just have that click inside of them, I think the things should be able to change for them.
Right. Yeah. I have one question for you. What does the rest of your 2018 hold?
Well, seeing as I'm a man of planning, I have a plan.
That's why I asked you.
I have a plan of what I want to do. Now, exactly how it unfolds is, consulting and speaking and stuff. Sometimes things go through, sometimes they don't at times, right? But for myself, what I plan on continuing to pick up some more clients, helping more people on a coaching level. I really want to dive deep in that because I love the one-on-one with people, but I love doing one-on-one with clients and people that are coachable. It's very difficult dealing with somebody that they're paying you, but they don't want to listen to what you're saying. You tell them 10 things and they do one of them. It's so difficult.
I had this last night, dude, and I literally just hung up the phone. Like, I was no, I don't want to do that. No, I was like, no, you literally, no, I'm telling you, this is what you need to do because, like, if you ask anybody, like, this is what needs to happen. And like, well, no, I think we do something else. I think we do. No, listen. When you write your Facebook post, when you write your social media, no, for your podcast, you need to do RSS feed campaigns. No, you need it. No, I do. I literally do this all the time. No, this is what you need to do. Okay, you know what? Forget it. Talk to 3 other people. Ask them the same question that you're telling me not to do. Like, have this same conversation with 3 people, and then call me back. I just hung up on them. I got a phone call today like, hey, we need to do what you said. Are you gonna listen now? Because I'll take your money and just hang up the phone. Like, I'm not playing this game with you. Like, we're both adults,
Exactly, man. And it's crazy because, and that's the hard thing is that because I can tell from you genuinely want to help people. There's a lot of consultants out there or coaches. They'll just say, cool, do it your way. But it's that inner drive inside of us, that we're like, no, listen to me. You're going to hurt your business. You're hurting your chances or whatever it is. You're not maximizing your opportunity here, and you want to help, but people got to be coachable. So that's one of the things I want to do is do a little bit more one-on-one with a few more clients. I've got some contracts that are going to be ending here soon with a couple of people. And so I want to do that as well. I want to also do a few consulting deals or consulting gigs overseas. That's one of the big things that I've got planned for the latter half of this year. I've also got a book that I'm working on as well, a personal development book that I'm working on. And I'd love to tell you I won't give you the subtitle, but I'll tell you what the title is going to be. It's going to be titled Postscriptum, P.S.
Very cool. Very cool. I like that. Yep. I like that. So I love that you're always strategizing. I love that you're always working on stuff. I love that you're putting out content all the time. I definitely am a fan. Definitely follow you. So this is the end of the show where we do a shameless plug. You can plug a friend, quote, websites, Facebook, products, movies, whatever you want to plug. This is your time to shine. Shameless plug moment. Go.
Come on, man. You put me on the spot here. They've got my information already, so I won't do it for mine. But I will tell you this. I've got a good friend of mine. His name is Ken Walls, and you can actually go to his website at csi.com. And he's an amazing guy, man. He's an amazing guy. He does a lot of SEO. He does digital marketing. He does a lot of different things. But Ken Walls, you can look up on Facebook. You can on all platforms. Amazing guy to work with. He got great prices, and he delivers results. So that's my guy.
Perfect. That's awesome, dude. Thank you. So as we wrap up and close the show, can you deliver your best nugget of knowledge that will motivate, transcend, and inspire someone to take action today?
Yeah, absolutely. So one of the big quotes that I always tell companies and clients of mine, I always tell them that the biggest quote that has impacted my life is this, and I'm going to share it with you all right now. I didn't think I could until I began to think that I could. I didn't think that I could until I began to think that I could. Somebody spoke wisdom and encouragement into my life one day and told me, Richard, you could write a book. You have a book. You have a few books inside of you. You could easily write a book. And when I wrote that book, it completely changed the trajectory of my life. It really, really did. And so I would just encourage everybody today, start believing in yourself again. No matter what has happened in the past, you can't change it. So you've got all you can be able to do is start creating your future. Start believing in yourself. Start a new page today. Leave the past in the past. It doesn't matter what you did, or what you knew, or what you didn't know. All that matters is going forward with what you now know. What will you do?
There you go. I love it, man. Thank you so much for your time. You are a gentleman and a scholar.
Hey, thank you so much for allowing me on. I appreciate it, brother. Thank you so much.
Absolutely. So, Life Transformation Radio listeners, go to www.richardtrevino, Trevino, richardtrevino2.com. You have to connect with this guy. He is amazing, incredible. He is doing things on a level that most people will never get to. So connect with him, and he will show you the way. As we close the show, I always say, live your brand. Find opportunities every day to live out the core values that you have deep in your heart. I call that living your brand. So until next episode, have a great night.
Skydiving. This is amazing.
Yeah, but you know what else is amazing? An iPhone 6S for just $49 at Metro.
Really?
Imagine streaming all the way down with that amazing camera.
I'm switching. That's smart.
You know what else is smart? Parachutes.
Woo!
Switch to Metro and get an amazing iPhone 6S for only $49. Metro by T-Mobile. Phone offer requires port-in of number not currently active on T-Mobile network or active on Metro in past 90 days. See store for details and terms and conditions.
Skydiving. This is amazing.
Yeah, but you know what else is amazing? An iPhone 6S for just 49 bucks at Metro.
Really?
Imagine streaming all the way down with that amazing camera.
I'm switching. That's smart.
You know what else is smart? Parachutes.
Switch to Metro and get an amazing iPhone 6S for only 49 bucks. Metro by T-Mobile. Phone offer requires port-in of number not currently active on T-Mobile network or active on Metro in past 90 days. See store for details and terms and conditions.